Lord went in hard, left the footy behind, scooped off the ground, be free. About 50, number 44. Hits it nicely. Crowd tells you everything. Frankie drops it home.
Blues off to a good start again.
For Mackay. Collins, really well done. Starting the game nicely. Can he go again? Evans!
Let's just keep doing.
Suns throw themselves at the football. Holman. Fourth of the season before tonight. For a third.
Good hit.
Strikes it nicely. Just hear it off the boot. 3 for Evans.
Become a regular goal kicker. Well, that's something they desperately need.
This management team will look at this over the summer months.
A bit of the footy too. Holland's up to 21 now for Ollie. King has kicked 5, including a Mark of the Year contender. Williams to send it deep to a one-on-one. Oh, well done, Evans. Not easy to outmark McAndrew. Last of the third term. For directly in front. No problems for Frankie.
They haven't been out-tried tonight, Carl.
He's kicked assuredly. He had a fair handful of McAndrew's jump.
Does. Dishes by hand to Evans. Oh, low ball. What about that for a hit?
Frankie's turned into Darren Jarman. They're feeling it, the Blues. They're feeling it everywhere.
They've turned it over.
Here he is again.
Evans or Jarman, as Gary caught him earlier on. Spins it for. Really good. On Roses. Here he is again, Evans. Punches it forward out of the ruck himself. Here he goes, the hot hand. Another chance to go inside here. Evans. Have a shot for 5, Frankie. He lays it off instead. He's unstoppable.
Shelley, please. He's just for three-quarter time. They've closed it to 13 points.
If you had told me the start of the year that I would be starting a show with Francis Evans highlights, I would have said, yeah, right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad show here on the Francis Evans Abroad YouTube channel. It is
the Frankie Stan page.
It's Monday, the 11th of August, and I have Nick here with me. Hello, sir.
How are you, brother? All right.
We're getting through, mate.
Shout out to Frankie, hey.
Yeah, it's one of those years, and it's one of those endings where you just got to latch onto something, right?
You take it. It's not just the goals. Awesome, because we've been crying out for a small forward, any player, tall or short, to hit the scoreboard. But the thing that got me amongst all those highlights and being at the game was the field kicking. There was that one kick. I think it was after he took that one-handed grab on McAndrew. The very next play, the next time he touches it, he put it on a silver spoon for Moya before Moya's goal. And it might be the best inside 50 kick I have seen from a Carlton player. I'm going back to like Nick Stevens, Mark Murphy era, early Murphy era. I just haven't seen a delivery like that in about 10 years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, look,
you watch the game on the replay and Jason Dunstall's nicknaming him Darren Jarman. I mean, it's ridiculous, but good on him.
Yeah.
Now back it up, but there's 22 other blokes who have got to now meet that standard, let alone him back it up. They've all got to rise to, if he's taken someone's spot, someone else has got to rise and take it off him again.
Yeah. Yeah, look, we just did the rating show, and it was just fascinating how a guy who just did his job, played his role, can stand out so much in this team at this point in its existence. So maybe we'll start. Maybe we can just continue on with the Francis Evans Glaze.
In a losing side, I think he'll get a Brownlow vote on Brownlow night.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially.
You'll take that.
He got some coaches' votes along with another youngster who, we'll touch on Cooper Lord a little shortly. We'll give him his own little moment. But I just wanted to ask LS, yes, Ryan Houlihan is another great name to compare that.
Put it on a string. I think Fev still says he's the best delivery he ever got.
Yes. I forgot who we did this. No, sorry. So early in the year, we did this for Nick Haynes, and we had people who were watching in the live chat used the hand emoji. So I'll ask the question: does
Hand up.
anybody in the live chat need to put their hand up for Francis Evans? If so, put your hand up right now. Yeah, fair.
Happy to put the hand up, and I want so many others to make me put my hand up for them too.
Yeah.
To Frank's credit, it's a really, really good time of the year to do it.
Yeah.
Coach has been backed in. Now it's like, all right, who's going to do what the coach needs from them? We've got two more games now. And he's been one of, if not the first, to put his hand up and say, no, coach, I want to be part of this. Keep me.
Yeah.
And especially out of contract and all that sort of stuff. There's going to be there's going to be a few tough decisions. And if he keeps performing like that, he may not be victim of one of those decisions.
I agree with Damien. There's nothing better.
Yes.
These guys sticking it to us, like sticking it. Like, I love it. I live for it.
Yep.
Yeah. Long may it continue. May they all stick it up our ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
May they keep sticking it up us rather than proving us wrong in the other way. When we get on, the second we all get back on the bandwagon, that's when we don't want them to prove us wrong. But
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, anyway, it is what it is. We're going to get through. Nick, it's great to have you here, mate. We've got a bit to get through, as always. Where do we start? I guess we can start with the game. You know what? No, we will. We'll start with the game because I want to talk Vossi as well. That's just obviously been the topic of the week, the last 7 days in particular. So we'll start with Saturday. Chat, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. Those of you who are watching from your comfy homes, give us a sentence to summarize round 22. Nick, how did you summarize round 22? You can do it in more than a sentence.
Yeah. Gold Coast, I think before the game when I saw you and we said, oh, look, there's just something. Can we respond? Can we stand up for this moment? And I think the comment I gave to you was Gold Coast of last year lose this game.
Yeah.
So for them, they've definitely improved. Before we went on air, I shared with you, I think that our team's a bit of a tease the last couple of weeks. They showed enough against Freo, but I still refuse to become someone who gets in the business of honourable losses. But they showed enough at the end just to keep the people there who would be interested. The kids work harder than the seniors. Well, yes, that's one of my points is the positives to take into next year. There's a couple of kids who, amidst all the shit this year, there's a couple of kids who I reckon on the way we might have just found. And there's enough there to persist with that you kind of say, well, is it this doom and gloom? We need to overhaul the list. I don't buy into that narrative. There's definitely holes and we all know them. But yeah, there's enough there to persist with. For me, I mean, there's only 2 weeks left, and I think a lot of us are pretty happy about that.
It's weird.
There's not a lot more like of it we can cop, especially the teasing stuff. It almost makes you more tired because you're like, oh, what could be if they just strung 4 quarters together, let alone 25 minutes?
Yeah.
So, if they weren't putting it down Mac Andrews' throat for the first half, what could have been?
Yeah. When I was there, I felt that we only played well for maybe 10 minutes in the first, and then 20 in the
first
fourth.
15 minutes and probably the last quarter.
Yeah, and then when I watched the replay, I thought we were actually pretty good for a majority of the first, but for literally the last 5 minutes. And the Suns were pretty clinical with some difficult shots. I thought the umpiring, it's been spoken about a bit. I mean, I just thought they were too involved in general.
It was over 50-something free kicks, wasn't there, in the end? 55 or something in the end? Just ridiculous.
Too much. They just didn't need to be involved.
And there was even a couple our way that I thought were silly, but a lot of them against us. But yes, just on the whole, over-umpired.
Yeah. And then I think when I summarize it all after having watched the replay and all of that, the way I summarize it is we kind of did enough just to save face. and not disgrace the emblem.
Yep.
Totally. Because I mean, I must admit, third quarter, I thought that it was just too uncompetitive, and it was devastating to watch, to be honest. Even though I've, surrendered to the fact that we weren't going to win the game, and maybe we were a chance to provide an upset. I didn't think the Suns were in the same ilk as the Lions and the Pies and these top 4 teams, and I still think they got some ways to go, and they'll get there, but not yet.
They're close, but they're not there yet. No,
yeah. And so I just and then by the end, after having watched it all, did enough to save some face, not be totally embarrassed, gave the fans something to spark the imagination of what could have been.
Had it have really blown out like it was threatening to late in the third quarter, had it at, what was it, at 1.45, 46 points, 48. So I got to about the St Kilda Melbourne stage. Someone in our cheer squad joked, "Oh, we're still about the St Kilda Melbourne distance." And when we got within like 13 points, everyone's kind of looking at him like he's an oracle or something. Did he have a time machine? But for that last quarter, I think the narrative is very different. Carlton supporters, had it have blown out to 60, 70 points or something, a lot of people would have been saying, well, was the Voss backing correct? Or are this group actually playing for him? Or are they? I think the last quarter, the spirit shown should at least say that he hasn't lost them or anything. It's nothing like that bad. Yeah. I think you can put that sort of narrative to bed.
No, I don't think he's lost the players. I think they're playing. I mean,
there have been suggestions that, these blokes aren't playing for him. He's obviously not, they all want to leave. And I think a lot of that's bullshit. We know we can address that.
I think the people that aren't or don't, maybe don't want to play for him are not available to play anyway. So
I agree.
There's that. And then when the reality is when we did the ratings just now, we go player by player. You sort of look at the caliber of player that you can sort of carry 1 or 2, maybe 3, but you can't be carrying.
We've got 9 of them.
Yeah. There's just so many that are being carried, and our senior guys they've had down years.
And in the light of that, and to carry all those guys and still, for the most part, be remotely competitive, a couple of weeks in a row against top 8 sides, Freo the week before, they've only fallen in the last 2 weeks, but for them, a win's a win.
Yeah.
But, they're still a top 8 side. They're going to be playing finals, possibly even at the pointy end. And we've carried a few, without bagging anyone, C graders into a game 2 weeks in a row and held our own.
Yeah. There's someone that is a regular contributor here in the chat named Petra. I think Petra's in the chat as well tonight. Petra made an interesting comment, which I want to get your thoughts on and everyone else. And it kind of was touched on earlier. Petra wrote, "What I am seeing this year is the younger players are showing the way for the senior players. The only club which is in this position. I've been following the Blues for many decades, and I have never seen this before in a Carlton team." Thoughts?
I can't disagree with.
So when I watch our senior guys, it's the burden, it's the weight, it's the trauma, it's the scar tissue, it's all of it. Like, it's on their faces and it's in their heads, and they can't think straight, and they wear it. But these youngins I guess they haven't been stained yet. Maybe there's a bit of that. Maybe they're not talking about money, thinking about money. They just want to get their opportunity. They're grateful to just be out there. And obviously that's going to impact performance because the kids don't have capacity for 4 quarters yet.
Absolutely. Hearing Vossi talk about Cooper Lord was really encouraging. The way he spoke about him and described him, saying that he's a sponge and all he wants to do is learn. I think he said he's pestering Walsh and Cripper and Ches and Hewitt, just bugging them. Hey, what would you do in this situation? Or where should I stand at this stoppage? Or what should I do here? Hearing things like that, that's the sort of anecdotes that Carlton fans are begging to hear. We want to know who's invested, who's buying into whatever vision we've got. There's a kid who seems to have it. And they gave him a job on Noah Anderson the other day. Anderson, for mine, is probably top 4 in the Brownlow at the moment. He'd be pretty close to a podium place on it. And Lord not only kept him quiet, but was one of the more prolific players on the ground, let alone on our side. I thought he was fantastic, Cooper Lord.
Yeah, well, yeah. Lord and Evans really get the plaudits this week.
So they should.
as
Yeah, they should.
they should.
Another younger player, but I think he's he hasn't been our best player at all this year, but he's been I think he's been about between fourth and fifth best almost every other week. Lockie Cowan is putting in together a really, really consistent year. I really like the kid. I think he's got a bit of shit about him. He's starting to run off a bit and have a bit of dash. I wouldn't say it, but he's willing to put the ball under the arm and break lines and, get involved in a couple of possessions per chain. And I just think he's coming along nicely, quietly.
Is there anybody else that gets sort of added to your mental or subconscious list of, something to work with here? Like, I feel like at the moment people are getting put into categories if they're, contracted or uncontracted. And what I'm noticing is people, I know I am. I'm looking at, okay, have I seen enough to persist with you, or let's have a conversation? Maybe it's time to move on. Is there anyone else that's staying for sure or has moved?
We're talking who has moved in the last couple of weeks or this year?
Yeah, someone that's convinced you that you want to persist with them.
Yes, I'm trying to think. Give me 1 second. I know that I actually spoke about this the other day. Where am I?
While you find it, chat. Is there anyone that you've watched, say, call it the last month, who at the start of the month you thought, I don't know if it's worth persisting with, and they've changed your mind, or they've convinced you that there's something there? LS, Matty Carroll for you. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's earned that contract, Carroll, the extension. Is he end of 2027, I think now? So 2 more years, I think he got.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll probably put in terms of the ones who I think of the out of contract guys.
Right.
It's almost has won himself back into the good graces of a lot of Carlton fans by absence, if that's possible. Especially with the news of, let's not call it highly likely Silvani exit. Someone like a Brody Kemp's value at the club, I think, has just skyrocketed in the last couple of weeks. We know he can play down back, as he did in a prelim final getting side. We know in dribs and drabs, he's no Stephen Kernahan, but playing forward, he's shown in a handful of games where he can threaten. He loves to fly for marks, but he just offers something different looking forward. And I just think that by his absence, he's someone who right now I'm kind of thinking about, I was looking at that team on the weekend and I thought Harry worked his tail off all game. He just needed another helper up there. I thought, I like the kid O'Keefe, wasn't ready. Moya, didn't really pose any of a threat or hasn't had much of a presence on the game day. And I just think that we just needed another tall player up there, even if it was De Koning going forward and they could have played the 2 ruck thing or something. They just needed someone else up there to help Harry. And as I was sitting watching the game, I was just thinking, shit, someone like a Brody Kemp would have been bloody handy today just to stop McAndrew flying for everything in the first half. And Collins, when they realised, I think last quarter, Harry just played up the ground a lot more and allowed our smalls to kind of dictate everything in the last quarter. Gov, Sard and Akers all gone. Yeah, there's a handful of guys of those guys, Gov's the only out of contract one. Although maybe Sardi too, maybe. I think Sardi might be out of contract still.
I think Sardi's got
one more. Gov, I don't know if it's on record, and I'm not breaking confidences because no one's told me this officially, but what I have heard is that Gov needs 1 more game to get an automatic trigger on a new contract. On basically the same coin that he's on. No, he's not on Bitcoin. That contract he came to the club on is well gone now. But I, off the record, have heard that the reason he's not in the side right now is because they don't want to get that automatic renewal at that coin. They're happy to keep him, but maybe on a bit less, playing a bit hardball. And if there is cap squeezes going to be coming in and I mean, last year we kind of had to get rid of Kennedy and a few other guys just to make some space. I'm not against the idea. I think if his name wasn't McGovern, a guy who I like personally and I think I like as a player, I wouldn't be too upset about it if it was just another player on the list. But yeah, I have heard that might be why he's not currently in the ones.
Do you have any thoughts on why Boyd isn't playing? Is it because Matt Carroll has emerged and they're going down the path of Matt Carroll with Cowan and the like?
I think that's a big part in it. I think if in a side where we've lost Nick Newman, I mean, Sard's played a handful of games out. Silvani again, body's cactus, never in the side. In a side where we've had so many guys rolling through, we've tried Ollie Hollands off a halfback. Billy Wilson's had a couple of games. Charleston got a crack. Chincotter's had a couple of games. Doherty's kind of gone forward, then wing, then he's kind of had a few roles. At one stage, Cooper Lord was playing off halfback. They've tried a lot of guys through there, and for none of them to, and I throw all of them over this, but for none of them to kind of take Nick Newman's spot, who's a 32-year-old, is kind of indictment on all of them. And that's Sard, McGovern, Boyd, everyone. I feel like I am lonely in the view that Boydie's never set the world on fire in my eyes. I keep hearing he's this magician kick of the footy. Just haven't seen it.
It's always interesting when like it's the grass is always greener on the other side until you go and take a step onto the front lawn and you realize it's the same grass that you had.
I think every year we seem to, and he's contracted for next year, I believe, is he not?
I don't know.
I think Boyd is contracted for next year, I think. But he's the sort of player that every year there's always a guy that, you can't lose him. He's going to go elsewhere and murder you. 12 months ago, it was Matt Owies. Now, Matt Owies is at risk, and I love Matt Owies, but he is at risk of getting dropped from the soon-to-be Wooden Spooners. He's kicked fewer goals in twice as many games as Francis Evans. So every year there's a bloke who goes elsewhere. It was Petrevsky-Seaton's going to go to West Coast and absolutely kill Carlton. Why? How could you let go of him? He's the line breaker. He's the skillful player. Every year we seem to get one who we lose, who Carlton fans just lose their mind. I remember Cam Paulson fans telling me that Cam Paulson's going to, how could you get rid of him? He's the option. He's the answer to our prayers. I feel that Boyd is the guy in the reserves who, because.
Oh. Well, we lost Nick. I'm sure he'll be back. Guys, for those of you at home. Oh, he's here. Hey, mate.
My views were too extreme. I think I got booted out. Yeah, I just think there's always someone in the twos who, because we're not winning, that you want to see, why can't this guy get a game? And even if they're not in the twos, even if they're not setting the twos on fire.
Yeah. No. You touched on Doherty. I just wanted to ask quickly, what did you make of the farewell? I thought it was like back of a car, lap of the ground.
Are they allowed to do a car at Marvel? That was my only thought.
I don't know. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I have no idea. As it happened, my wife, Michelle, said to me, she goes, he kind of just, it was nice. I love it.
Was it just me? Or did he just like roll out, did a quick interview, like shook a few high fives? I don't know. Maybe I pictured it being a bit more of a thing than what it was.
And maybe with a crowd of 24,000 people, there was no one really at the other end of the ground to go and say hello to for the most part. So he kind of just went wing to wing a bit. But yes, I agree. It was, I wouldn't say underwhelming because it almost sounds like it's disrespectful to Doc, but I would hope that when the time is right and the dust settles or whatever, maybe it's first home game next year at the G or something, and you get him in the back of a Hyundai or something. And I would like to see it. I think to Carlton fans, he represents something that would deserve a bigger occasion.
Yeah, it just felt awkward to me when I was there. The whole thing. I don't know. Like I wasn't so mad about the result. Usually, if they're doing halftime activations or 3/4 time activations and we're getting pumped, I just get a bit awkward because it's like, what are we doing? But so the game wasn't so devastating at halftime from my lens. I don't know. I thought it was a bit.
Oh, I still think that. I think that every week, but I'm just a miserable old bastard. Like Robbie Williams is one of my favourite singers of all time, and I'm seeing the camera pretend you're behind the wheel of the car and sing Angels. It's a bloody slow ballad. Like nothing says get the crowd fired up at halftime like a love song ballad. Like at least put on the Taylor Swift song, which has a bit of beat to it or something. Anyway, it was just, but yeah, that sort of stuff. I always wonder who in the stadium, or that, or the kiss cam, or the pretend you're asleep one at the G they do. I always wonder who at the ground is going, oh, that was so entertaining. Like how many out of, let's say 25,000 on the weekend, how many of those were going, oh, that was so much fun. How good was that?
Yeah. Well, the big news of the week was the coach. So we had I also find it really interesting how a narrative can be formed. And that's something I've learned or just been reminded of this last week. So the board Simon Goodwin gets sacked. The Carlton board have a scheduled meeting, which Chinese Whispers created a narrative that it was an emergency meeting, but it was a scheduled board meeting, which went for 5 hours to talk about a lot of things, not just the coach. But if you feed into narratives, and it was 5 hours for Michael Voss.
They argued back and forth.
5 hours. They determined, Graham Wright recommended that Voss see out his contract, which he's contracted to the end of next year. So we got clarity on that. We were the first to see it and hear it from the club, as opposed to coming from a tweet from Mitch Cleary or John Ralph or any of these types. So, yeah, open up the discussion because I haven't got your thoughts on it yet. What do you think of it? And those of you in the chat, now that you've had a week or so to sleep on it, thoughts?
It was quite a lot of fun at Banner Night on Wednesday as the board were meeting upstairs.
Oh, right.
So we rocked up, and we knew it was going to be like that, but we rocked up, and there is journos standing in car spaces, like blocking car spaces. Not, it was some of them quite respectful. I'm not going to go throwing shade at anyone, but some of them were quite vultures. Just any scoop, whatever. Anyway, ironically, before the Banner, our immediate Cheer Squad committee had a meeting in one of the boardrooms, or one of the conference rooms, I should say, next to the boardroom. So we were literally, as they were meeting, in the room next door, discussing plans for the AFLW season and all this sort of stuff. So we're planning that. And hey, the Sard Academy kids were all in the foyer downstairs ready to do their stuff. And we've started coming down the stairs from upstairs where the board is, and all these kids and their families are thinking we're the board coming out of the meeting, and they're, got their eyeballs on us. Oh, it's just they're nobodies. And everything. By the time we got out and started going into the Banner Night, the sun had gone down and everything. So we've gone to walk out, and Cheer Squad ordered some pizzas for the Banner Night and everything. And as the delivery man's pulled in, Godfather's told me that the journos, just not knowing who was in the car, started snapping photos of the car, the pizza man
delivery. No way.
And as they got out, Risto goes, "Oh no, it's just a pizza man." And they said, "Oh look, just in case, we're going to take a photo, and we can always delete it. We're just going to delete them all now." But yeah, it was the hilarity and the sensationalization of it all was just funny. It really was. It was so absurd. In lieu of actually having information, it was all hypotheticals, wasn't it? Like, until we hear, let's make up crap and throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. The result, what do I think of it? I still am on the fence as to, I have been for a while, whether or not I think Voss has all the answers. Am I glad that they've at least backed him in to fulfill the contract he has signed? Yes, I am. I'm fine with that. I am strongly in the view that he needs at least to have better assistants around him. I don't want to use the excuse of injuries because I think that players, more than their injuries, need to show work ethic first and foremost. So by backing in the coach, you're kind of saying he isn't the problem. He may have problems in his game styles and stuff that need to be addressed, but he isn't the problem. So therefore, what are the other problems? Players need to harden up and take some responsibility on their own selves. A lot of these guys who are very, very good players, Cripps, Wiedering, Kerno, Mackay, Walsh, all of them, they've seen off 2 or 3 coaches already in their lives. So how many more can they all see off before it's on them to improve? That's kind of where I sit. So I'm pretty happy to actually see them back in Voss. I just hope that now they're doing it. Resource him with everything under the sun. Destroy the soft cat. Whatever we've got to do, get people around him and people who have achieved something. So when they tell the players about what it takes to get to the top, they speak from a place of experience.
Right. So I thought when it's all said and done, and now that we've had a bit more information around, Longmire's not coaching, not interested. I don't know if Simo's ruled himself out either.
I don't think formally.
Right. For me, it just said that they've identified greater problems in the coach or other problems in the coach.
Other problems. I agree with that.
Yeah. Maybe he thinks that Voss can be a part of a great team. Because, I mean, you've got to have a great team on the field. You've got to have a great team off the field. There's a narrative out here. Rambo, can I ask, you said that Voss handpicked his assistants. Which ones? I'm not sure what you mean there. I know Greaves worked with him at Port. Tom Lonergan came later. I don't think he didn't pick Ash Hansen. He didn't pick Jordan Russell. He didn't pick Aaron Hamill, unless I'm mistaken. He didn't pick
Clark. Had already been there prior to Voss. This is his second stint at the club, but I think for the most part, I was of the belief that Clark was chosen by a lot of the midfield group because they'd already worked with him when they were younger and they responded well to his style or something. Then that's purely based on what I had thought, but no proper information on that. Yeah.
So I'm just a bit confused around that narrative around Voss picked all of his assistants. I don't think he did. Anyway, so there's that. But
ultimately, those people are hired by or employed, if you will, interviewed and hired by the footballing boss, the GM, Brad Lloyd. Ultimately, that for me is the first position I would be looking to change.
Yeah.
I don't know I can't remember whether you were there. I think it was late or middle to late last year. We had a pre-game function before a Swans game at the SCG, and Brad was one of the guest speakers. And they were talking about the prelim final of the year before and how after round 11 or 12, we were sitting second on the ladder and where things are flying, and Shane O'Sullivan was interviewing him and asking him, you've been around since, a couple of years ago when we had a big review, and how do you feel we're now traveling, we must have solved a few things coming out of this big review. And he actually, I think I've shared this with you, he actually said how he had survivor's guilt, that he was the only one who had survived that review that took down Little and took down Teague and everyone else. How he was the only one kind of who stayed in a job, and how he didn't have all the answers as to why. And I remember thinking at the time, well, gee, why should I be convinced you know what you're doing if you can't be confident in why you're there? And that was 18 months ago. So, I mean, I think the problems at our club are football-based. Off-field, they're flying. Your quote of we're financially flying and spiritually bankrupt, I think is correct. On field, we just can't get right.
Yeah.
They're printing money off field. So all of our problems are football based. As the head of the football department, the buck stops with him.
That's why I'm not. I wasn't so fussed around the conversation around, if you get rid of Voss, you got to pay him out. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, we got the money. Yeah.
Not worried about that at all. So there's two things for me that it pointed to the way I interpreted it. Number one, what I said, that Graham Wright thinks that there's a bigger problem or more of a problem than Michael Voss, and therefore more solutions. And then the second thing, it's the heat is going to be, and the message goes to the players.
Absolutely, and so it should.
And for the first, I mean, when's the last time that happened? Because the pressure cooker usually comes. You can sack the coach and you get that little bump and you get that fresh energy, and it's just like a sugar hit. And then we go 2-3 years down the road and we're sort of at that same point again.
Still kicking the same can.
Yeah. And who knows, it could have been a situation of there weren't really that many guaranteed.
Yeah, well, if Longmire isn't available to replace him, why get rid of him then? That might have been some of it.
But like, there may not be guaranteed better options this year, but maybe they can see something for next year if it doesn't.
And that could be the case. But you're at least backing the bloke in to fulfill the contract, and at least for now, put the onus on the players and go, well, we're making you guys be responsible. And if in 12 months nothing's changed, well, there won't be only just a coach changing. Like, there'll be wholesale changes going on. It also, I think, if that's Graham Wright is he, pronouns, if that's his first proper official act as the CEO, it almost does it back him into a bit of a corner that in 12 months, would it be seen as a backflip to then change your mind on him in 12 months?
I just think you can change quite a lot around Voss. Knowing, I mean, sometimes you can know the problem that you have. If you think it's going to be a real problem, maybe you give it the benefit of the doubt, change some things around it. Because at the end of the day, Voss or no Voss, that department needs to be better and more. There needs to be more senior minds, more experience in that department, in that coaching box. So whether it was Voss or whether it was a new coach, that was going to have to be built anyway. So it could be a staged approach here. I don't think we are one preseason of changes away from fixing.
I don't know. But I do think we're potentially one preseason away from at least getting back to top 8 and competing around that mark. 2023, we snuck in and then probably exceeded our potential, I think, rather than reached it. I think we really just balls to the wall. Momentum was on our side, had wind in our sails, and nearly stole some shit. Last year, I think, showed just about where we're at. We're still about the middle of the rung, also ran side. And I still think that it changes pretty quick. I still think we're in that mark. It's just there's other clubs around that mark who I see getting exponentially better. And that's what you've got to mark against.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because we do this show every Monday and we sort of commentate on the fly.
Yeah.
There are other decisions to be made. So, we're going to do this show on the Monday after trade period. Well, the Monday after trade period ends. And that's when the final decisions will be made in terms of on the field, off the field. When we find out who's going to be on the playing list, then we find out exactly which players actually left. At the moment, TDK and Sauce seem to be the popular names that are definitely going. Last week it was Cripps. There was a rumor of Charlie the week before, Harry the week before. So once we know all of the decisions, it's going to be a lot easier to talk about it. But yeah, this is just the first one. And also, I just think it takes a bit of pressure off Voss for the next couple of weeks. But pressure ramps right back up preseason.
Yes, absolutely. Just because I'm saying I want the onus to go on the players, I don't want to give Voss a free pass. God, no. All of them absolutely need to be. I mean, it's hard because Carlton fans live in this space where we live in this reality that we've been, I was about to say average as being kind. We've been laughed at this century, but yet we live in this expectation, at least those of us who remember it, this expectation of, yeah, but we're Carlton. So where there's this entitlement of, no, but we've got to get better because we're Carlton. Like, it's just not normal for us to be like this.
So I've fought a bit against that, but I also think that that's important because the longer we go into the future,
it's so important.
The quicker we forget what Carlton means and what it is and what it was.
And if you lose the identity, then you're stuffed.
Yeah.
95 premiership reunion the other day. I didn't get that. I wasn't able to go. I was shattered. But speaking to a couple of people at the game who went and stuff, oh, how was it? And they just said for 10 minutes we got to play pretend that Carlton were great still. Just for one day. But just for one day, Carlton was still great. And we were invincible and a team full of not just champions, but like Hall of Fame level club players, just unbelievable talent in that 95 side. Line for line, we're talking legends of the game. And they just said, oh, just for one day we got to be great again. And it just made me kind of, oh, shit, like it's kind of a sad thing that we have to keep. I mean, how many more sportsman's nights can Kuda, Diesel and Six trot themselves out to? Hey, I'm pretty sure, and Ange, and I think I've heard Kuda say, it's about time these blokes take this job off me because I'm sick of doing, not sick of doing them, he's not, of course. But it's like, it's about time someone else achieves anything so all of a sudden they get trotted out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as long as people pay for tickets and there's a market for it, they will continue doing them. You know?
And they'll have that market cornered until someone else comes along and takes it off them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Money train, good on.
Yeah. I don't know. I just I went into the decision with Graham Wright excited. I'm still excited. I think he could not have been more informed when making all of his calls. I mean, and I think the beauty of his situation from my lens is he's been there for what is it, a year, and it's been a disaster. So there's no like wins to paper over.
No one's
crack.
been able to hide.
He can't hide. And what we don't get to see, all the little behaviors, all the little reactions to instruction, and who's got an attitude and who turns their toes up, all these little things that we don't get to see, he gets to see on a day-to-day. So I just think he'll know what to do in this situation more than me.
It's also quite telling with Wright in that he was head of footy and interviewed Voss for the Collingwood job however many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Turned him down. Chose Craig McRae. Is justified. Got a flag.
Yeah.
Possibly more in the future coming. He was very vindicated in that decision. So when he first came to the club, I thought, ooh, that could spell warning for Voss because he's already said no to him. He didn't think he was the right man for that job 5 years ago. Does that automatically put Vossi in a bit of shit, moving forward? But it's quite profound that, at least for now, he said, no, it's not Voss's problem. This isn't a Voss. Well, it might be he might have stuff to change, but this isn't a Voss problem.
Thing about Collingwood, though, is you look at the makeup of their list, what they've got on the field. They've got high IQ, essentially coaches out there on the field in Pendlebury, Sidebottom, and these types. We don't have them on the field. Smart players who have already won a premiership at the time, who have played in preliminary finals, who have been top. Like, they have senior guys who are extremely intelligent. We don't have the ilk of those players.
How many premiership players we got on our list?
Do you know who's played the most finals on our list?
Nick Newman's my guess.
Nick Haynes.
He's the only one I know of that's played in a grand final. He's the only one I know of. Oh, Nick Haynes would have for GWS. Probably Nick Haynes.
Yeah.
Haynes and Newman are probably the two.
That's exactly right.
And it would have been all from other clubs.
Yeah. Hey, exactly. Haynes, Newman, McGovern, and Hewitt.
Yeah.
And Blake
Akers. They're the ones that are. Oh yeah, Akers wouldn't have played in a grand final, but the other four, the only ones that I think of, have played in a grand final. I think. Yeah. If there is another one, I'm forgetting someone obvious, but
yeah.
So like we've got that's the sort of stuff you got to go and find.
Yeah, Rocco.
I know that they don't grow on trees and they don't come cheap. Oh, Zachy Williams would have played in the grand final. Good shout.
Would have played in quite a few finals. Yeah. So
I think the year before he came to us, he got 29, 30 touches in a prelim.
Got a X amount of year deal because of that game.
If you'd
So
like.
yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Hewitt came out today and spoke pretty glowingly of Vossi. I think Harry Mackay did as well. And then I think when I look at it, I don't know if it's the kids just excited to play footy, but they all, I mean, they're also too young to have an attitude.
They're not jaded yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you get to your 5th or 6th preseason at Carlton as a player, and then you start getting your attitude, and you start, you know. And how much of that do you think it's the club's fault? How much of that do you think
A lot of it. Oh, both, but a lot of it. Attitude reflects leadership.
Yeah, fair. Because I know I have in the past, like, just overhyped players.
Oh, God,
And I'm but like we all get excited. Like all of a sudden, like Frank the Tank, like, oh my God, like talking statues of Frank the Tank, statues of Blake Acres. But do you think they get a false sense of
full of their own shit?
Yeah. Do you think that's real?
Oh, that has to be. With those two, I don't know. Like I keep saying this year, especially about Acres, he could have gone off into the sunset after 2023 as an all-time cult hero. And I still hope that he does, but an all-time cult hero of our club for that. Not only that one moment, but he had a great season in 2023 in total. But that one moment, he could have gone down forever in the history books. And it's that whole, do you die the villain? Do you die the hero or live around long enough to see yourself become the villain? And I think a lot of fans have turned on him. At the start of the year, I was shattered to see a lot of fans not just saying, oh, it looks like time's up for Doc. There was a bit of almost vitriol toward Doc at the start of the year of, oh, bloody hell, taking games off kids and bloody Sam Doherty. And I remember saying to myself, does no one remember what this bloke has been through and what he represents to our club and what he's done for this club and what he's battled through in order to play for this club? And I was rapt to see him just hit a bit of form before he did say goodbye. I think it was really, really important to see him go out on his terms and playing not bad footy. There's a couple of games, the Bulldogs game, I thought he was fantastic. And there's a couple during the middle of the season where I just thought, you know, I don't like seeing guys limp to the end, wearing a subs vest for the next 12 weeks. And he also did it before the end of the season selflessly so that guys like Carroll and these sort of other guys, Wilson, you can start to see some games in these kids. And Cooper Lord can play inside mid rather than off halfback or a wing, and a role that he's meant to play, Cooper Lord. I think his recent form is no coincidence that he's actually moved inside rather than playing off a halfback flank.
Yeah.
So I think
it's amazing what happens when you play a player in there.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I'm just seeing something here on online. A report has emerged around deconing.
Oh, this is good.
TDK. TDK would like to play alongside Marshall, but he's increasingly likely to move to Geelong. Clubs are telling Wilkie to name his price to leave. He isn't going to go, but the risk of offering 1.7 are obvious. How does St Kilda navigate those challenges? And then I think Michelangelo Rucci. I don't know if this is like an Adelaide hit piece, try and like stir up some trouble in Victoria.
So Wanganeen goes there.
Well, yeah, exactly. But apparently there's been something that was said on SEN earlier tonight on the radio that De Koning wanted to stay at Carlton, and Graham Wright said no. We need the cap space and the pick.
My first thought is I've been wondering the last, let's say, months, as Nas has always been a very, 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 very good player, but his last month has been ridiculous. Watching Nas's last month has kind of made me think, what if St Kilda kind of got a bit gun shy all of a sudden and said, oh, crap. Are we making the wrong decision here? Are we playing the wrong bloke? And if they did on a hypothetical, and he kind of came back to Carlton with his tail between his legs going, look, hey, do you want me still? What would our price tag be of, oh, we'll keep it, but it's this much? Because I don't think that the club would actually say, or Wright or whoever would say, no, you're not welcome back. I don't think that would happen. But I do think that's, oh, well, okay, we'll keep you, but here's what we think you're worth. and all of a sudden the bargaining would all be on Carlton's end, because otherwise he'd have to suddenly find himself a new home. I still don't believe any player, and I'm including all of them, is worth 1.7. If Nick Dacos, Bontempelli, Lockie Neal, if these guys are on 1.7, no one should be on 1.7.
I think I'm just done. I've said this a couple of times in a couple of shows. How about we stop giving players premiership salaries before they even win a final off their own?
But he hasn't even played 4 quarters of football ever for Carlton. Yeah. Like, he's always relied on Pitto to at least come in every couple of weeks because his body's sore. Or there was a game, I can't even think what it was. There was a game recently we had at Marvel about a month or so ago. And in the last quarter, we had Harry in the ruck because Tom was off the ground because he was just knackered after 3 quarters. So Harry goes in the ruck. And as a result of that, we had no one up forward. Like, there was no one getting to kick to up forward. And I just think, and I love Tom. We've sponsored him since he came to the club. Love the kid. I am of the opinion that that draft pick is worth more to us than him.
Fair. Next item. I'm going to play some highlights. Elijah Hollands returned to football over the weekend.
Love to see.
Check this out. These are his highlights thanks to Carlton Blues fans from the VFL.
Monahan wins the clearance. Eastham going back with the flight. Couldn't take the mark. Hollands with the hand pass. And now they can release themselves here, the Blues. Hollands receiving there from Vickery. Kicks out wide to Nelson. For the Suns. Kicks it inside the 50. Poor kick at Elijah.
Missed the suspension that he got in the Brisbane game. Here's Elijah Hollands with a good mark.
Let both sides down. Pitnet wins it down. Here's Elijah Hollands. Back turn. Gives it off and prominent early. They can work it out of defence here, the Blues. Charlson to Hollands. Good sliding mark from Elijah Hollands. Coming up for possession number 11 already. Chips it short to centre wing. Nelson. He did pretty well. Here's a chance for Ramshaw to Hollands. Sweep from Lucas Camporelli. Ramshaw to Hollands. They bounce. Drills it towards the 50. Hollands will take the mark. Elijah Hollands off a step. A vacant 50 beckons. Goes to Fantasia. Good pass. Fantasia marks. Plays on. Waltzes in. Easiest of goals. And now they can clear through Charlson.
We'll pick out Elijah Hollands inside defensive 50 here for the Blues. Lucas Camporelli near side's calling for it. He's ignored. It's gone the other way. Running alongside. Got the handball. Right-footed ball. Might go all the way. Swans in round 13. From directly in front. Welcome back. Elijah Hollands on his return kicks the goal. And that's it.
Here's Elijah Hollands. Good contested footy.
I've got to say, I had just given up on the story. I just thought it was one of those awkward,
don't go there sort of things.
Yeah, there's some trouble. He's not, he's struggling with whatever, and it's unfortunate. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's back in the VFL playing.
He's definitely been fit enough because he's still been training and doing all that sort of stuff away from the main group, but he's been doing training still. So again, each week when we go to Banner Night on a Wednesday night, we've been seeing him at the start of the year, especially, whether it was with the VFL group or even just individual training. He's been at the club every single week. So by the looks of that, fitness hasn't been his problem. Mentally, he's had some stuff to go through, obviously, and the rest of it is all hearsay. Ultimately, he's a hell of a talent, and seeing him back playing, massive smile on my face. And all I can hope is that being back in that environment puts a smile on his face. That is ultimately all I can, or we should all want or hope for him. Jesus, he'd be handy.
Well, he would. I guess the question is, he's got a year to go on his contract. The way I'm pretty sure he does.
He does.
I just thought it was the end, and now the question comes to mind: do you persist with it? Do you give it a shot? Do you risk this happening again, or do you back in whatever program you've got in place to get him right? Does he have what it takes to come out the other end? I mean, I mean, there are a number of players throughout the history of the game who have had off-field issues, right?
Yep.
But like eventually they get there. Like, like they get there. Like it takes some time, but they do, And I just found this one strange. That's like, are we really going to be one of the ones where he just doesn't come through the other end?
You spoke earlier about how much of this stuff has been on certain players or how much of it is on the culture. A lot of it is on Elijah. He has to earn this spot back.
Yeah.
Like all of them, he's no more special or less special than anyone else on this list. But if our culture is good enough, the process is made as easy as it can be for him to do so, to hold his end up. I think, I wonder, when I saw him named for the VFL, I mentioned it to you and a few others, rapt to see him. But I kind of said, oh, well, that's great, but I don't expect to see him this year in a seniors or anything. And I still am 50-50 on whether he'll play against Port or Essendon, very 50-50, because there might be something, again, it's all hearsay. He may have to prove himself to the group. They may say, oh, no, you're starting from the bottom.
Yeah, it'd be weird for him to just roll straight back in.
Yeah. But, geez, he'd be handy. I'll say it again.
Yeah. Well, in terms of running power, just
decision making, foot skills, running power.
But he, Cottrell, and Walsh, just the three of them, really
huge.
changed.
Yeah. Well, they're three of the four biggest runners, other than Ollie. They're the three other biggest runners we've got at the club.
Yeah, like we've got a lot of these smalls in the team right now who are playing further up the ground. Like we see Flynn Young, we see Will White, we see Jesse Motlop. Like,
Motlop's been at centre clearances all year, for God's sakes.
Yeah. So like you take those three out, or maybe you put Motlop into the forward line only, and then you just literally insert Walsh, Elijah, and Cottrell, for example, or Walsh, Elijah, and Chera, and like the outlook is completely different.
Massively. Yep.
So that brings us to the game. Frank the Tank gets a thumbnail. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I don't make the rules, but he makes the thumbnail.
Who do they send to him?
That's tricky. Thoughts? Early thoughts about Port Adelaide on Saturday?
I'll be tipping us.
Really?
I think we're a better side than them. I do.
Okay.
I still do, even with the current 22 or 23 we'll have available. I do. The one thing, and it's the same thing I said about Mac Andrew earlier, what I did see of their game against Freo the other day, more worried than I am about their forward scoring power and everything. Aliir took 17 marks or something the other night. I'm pretty sure about 12 or 13 of them were intercepts. Like he was best on ground on the losing side. And my one hope is that we just don't spoon feed it to the bastard all night. And he just, because if there is any Port Adelaide vulnerability, I've always thought it's their defence. Guys like, even at full strength, Brad Galea and Zirk Thatcher, and these guys aren't going to win you a flag. And they're not available. So they've got one bloke down there who is going to cause you trouble. Just don't put it down his throat all night. For the love of God, don't go long down the line to him. Or, against Freo, I thought I was really, really impressed. They were just slow, methodical, short kick. Find the avenue there. It might take you a little longer to get there, but you'll get there. If the ball doesn't hit the ground, you're still moving the ball forwards, or that's what I hope for. But I think we've got a massive shout.
Yeah,
I think they're really, just as much as us, but they're really waiting for the clock to run down at the moment.
Yeah. So last week, the injury list. Chera was a test for last week. Walsh, last week, they said round 23, which is this week. Would you play them?
I wouldn't.
Both? Just leave them out?
I wouldn't, but I think they might play Chera.
Fair.
I wouldn't. Yeah, the only other name I did say earlier that I have heard that Gov might not be getting a game because of contract situations, but if there was any other change, he would be my other change.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. Some people have said 1 game. Some people have said 2 games. Is
the contract situation, you think, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be the case.
As for like Walsh and Chera, I think if they're available and fit, play them. I'm not of the school of thought of pander to egos and like put them as more valuable than others. I don't like seeing 5 smalls in the team. It's a joke. So we need more midfielders, not more forwards.
I do agree with your idea of if they're fit to play them. My only fear with Walsh is that for his whole career at Carlton, he has had to be held back.
Yeah, fair.
Because he's wanted to go too hard, too fast. And I can just think if there's one player, more than anyone actually, I'd say, even if it was Charlie or anyone, if he got put in the side and anything happened against Essendon, especially in that last round or second last round, fans would just about jump the fence, wouldn't they?
I guess. Yeah, I guess
so. It's just the one last thing. But that's my only thing is he ready, or is he saying, Walsh, yeah, no, I'm ready?
Yeah. Because,
there's a difference, I think.
All of his injuries in the last few years have happened in pre-season anyway.
Yeah, no, good call. Good call.
Yeah, injuries are going to happen. They're going to happen during the season and they're going to happen in the off-season, and it is what it is. So, yeah, Ben Camporelli has served his 4-game suspension, but he hasn't played.
He won't play.
4 weeks,
not AFL. Yeah, not AFL. He would definitely not.
He might need a game before he comes in against the Bombers.
Yep. Happy birthday to Scott Camporelli, 50 years old today.
Really? There you go. Happy birthday, Scott Camporelli. And also, Thursday night, Carlton Collingwood, mate. Round 1.
Mate, I can't wait. I genuinely, I'm frothing it. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the guys have been just pissing me off for 23 weeks. I'm really excited for it. There's something about Carlton Collingwood at Princes Park. Gets me in the feels. I'm fired up for it. I can't wait. And they seem fired up for it, which is why I and others should be fired up for it.
They've got it's like a whole new generation of list, it seems.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They've added quite not only a lot of young talent, but a few established stars. Tara Bahana was Gold Coast captain. We've stolen her and park her at full forward, and that'll be helpful. So it's one thing to get a bunch of kids in, but same with the guys. A bunch of boys playing men is probably less of an issue than a bunch of girls playing grown women is.
Right.
So you put established talent around them, but no, Sophie McKay debuting, what's not to love?
So she becomes the second father-daughter in club history.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, with the first being her sister. So
who's now the captain.
Yeah, so Abby and Sophie will play as the daughters of champion Andy McKay.
And I may or may not be correct in this, that Abby and Andrew, if they're not the only, then they were definitely the first, I believe, to have both captained their club as a father-daughter.
There you go. There you go.
Which is great. But no, that'll be great. I mean, I really want to see a good crowd there. It's meant to be good weather. 20 degrees on Thursday. Princes Park will be lit up. Carlton, Collingwood. What's not to
I think it's a 7:30 game. Is that right?
Yes, 7:30. Yep. Get there. Now get around them, guys. There's so many people, and there's been a lot of it's been justified criticisms of AFLW and how it's been promoted and how it's been run and the competition itself and all of this. I think, and within our program, how it's been run over the years. God knows, I was very vocal about our previous coach, but they've got a good vibe, and I'm an AFLW Carlton evangelist right now. I want everyone to get around him and
I give them a chance every year. I get to the first home game, and I'm like, all right, I'll give you a shot.
serve up something good.
I'll give them the opportunity.
Yep.
That's all I can do.
No, and like, no matter what the program is, it's on the
Yeah.
players to perform ultimately.
Yeah. Mate, that's us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us, brother.
No worries. It's been a testing and it's been a trying year, but that's life. That's footy. You just don't.
We don't do things dull at Carlton, do we?
No, you don't, and you don't get what you want in life, and you seemingly never get what you want in Carlton.
Mm.
But it's out of our control. It really is. It's tough.
Wouldn't have it any other way, would we?
As long as I know that it's going to get to where I want it to get to, I don't think I would want it any other way.
Well, how long? I think I've heard this question. You might have even answered it. I got a feeling it was Broken Kelly's podcast about a year ago. Someone said, they're talking to Ollie, the big St Kilda fan, and they said, I can promise you a premiership next year. Your team win the flag next year. But after that, you can't watch footy again. You do it.
Yeah.
And his answer was, God, yeah, I've got no confidence they'll ever get one in my lifetime. So, yes, if you offer me one next year, I'll stop watching the sport altogether. But I really hope that it doesn't come to having to worry about things like that, because that mentality is mentality of fans to go for a loser club.
Yeah.
But it is. But it's for those of us, I try and keep telling these kids in the cheer squad who are under 18, we are actually good ones. Growing up, we expected to be where Geelong and Hawthorn and Brisbane are every year. We expected that, and it was normal.
They're going to get there, right?
Sure. I've lived to see North Melbourne make 3 or 4 grand finals, so I'm pretty old. I've seen St Kilda in 3 or 4 if you include a draw. So, yeah, even the shit teams can get there.
Well, we wait ever so patiently. Anyway, mate, thank you very much. Ladies and gents, thanks
In
for
Frank
tuning
the
in.
Tank we trust.
In Frank the Tank we trust. Have a great one. See ya.
Go Blues.